Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 98. Only 2 more to go until the big 100, and I've had a few people making some funny suggestions as to what I should do, but yeah, I'm not decided yet whether it's going to be anything special or not. It'll be quite notable. I'm actually looking forward to 104 more than anything because that means 2 years, which is pretty amazing, I think. Anyway, this week has been epic and it's going to be a super long video, which I don't know how long yet because I've not yet edited it, but yeah. I've done a lot on the model railway. I've done other projects as well, 3 or 4 other projects that are going to be mixed in there. And just now even I've started cleaning up the lake so I can start to do another pour of the resin, which will be coming up over the next weeks. I'm decided at the moment whether I might hold off and order some more resin so I can do it all at one go so I don't have another huge pause and another clean-up session required. So anyway, there's a little sight into my thinking process on that, so that may yet get parked for another couple of weeks. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you do get to the end of this video, when you do, then fair play to you, because it is going to be epic. So settle yourself down with a cup of tea or coffee or alcoholic drink or whatever your beverage of choice is and enjoy. And let me know in the comments if you do. I always love to hear from you. So thanks for watching. Next thing I need to do is work on these buildings and getting the bases done and then get them stuck in place. And I am umming and ahhing as to whether this was a good idea, how I've done this. I'm now wondering whether it would have been a better idea to have marked out the gap where I want it. I just don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to have, this is something I'm going to probably struggle with over this model railway and then the next model railway, and I will probably come up with a plan by the time I've finished the main model railway in about 15 years time. But anyway, so I'm doing this technique, so we're going to run with it and see how well it works. So what I've got is I've got some gravestones which I'm going to put around the back here, and I'm going to put a path on the front. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the path on the front with some gravel, so it's going to be a grey path, and I think I'm going to do a grey path all the way around the back, all the way around the walls of the church. So something like this. So just a walkway, and also it'll be drainage as well, which is quite common. Now, I have some walls, some stone walls, which are going to go around the edge of this as well, which are over on the layout at the moment because I was just looking at them, which I'm going to paint up, and I'll show you that when that's done. But the walls are going to run quite close to the edge of this, but they're going to cut up just because of the limitation of the size. They're going to cut up here, so I need to bear that in mind as well to make sure that what I'm doing actually fits in with those walls. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is going to put some gravel into this little area here, and then also as a path on the other side where the entrance is. And then once that's done and dried, I will place not many and potentially overgrown gravestones here, because I think the more modern grave yard is going to be on the other side of the road, as I've said. So I'll be putting the nicer ones on there, but I'll put some gravestones here and then cover that up with static grass and whatever, and then glue that in place. Now the pub, I think, I really do think that this should just have been stuck in, but obviously the point is I need to have access, which is why I did this idea. So I think for the pub I'm not actually going to do very much. I'm just going to leave it like it is, glue it in place along with the church when the church goes in, and then I'll come along and put a tiny little bit of grout just around here, and then try and get some static grass in. Now I might leave the grey, I think, because it looks a little bit like it should. I'm pretty happy with that. So I think I will end up just putting a little bit of grout, tiny bit of grout, and then static grass on that. But I'll do that once that's on the layout, because what you'll probably be going, but they're going to warp, is these are going to warp. Ironically, and this is something I am annoyed at myself, and I will do, if I use this technique again, I'll make sure to remember, I should have left some tabs at each end like this coming out of the corners, which would have meant I could have clamped down this piece when I'm putting any materials on it and make sure that it doesn't warp, because this base is going to warp, and that's a lesson learned, and I will not make that mistake again. So if you're following along and you want to do this, leave some tabs out on each corner, and then you can clamp it. So that's the church and pub. I also, of course, have the school and the fire station, but I'm going to do the church and the pub first, and then because I know what I'm going to do, and then I'll go on to the fire station and the school after. So I've drawn my shape around the church, and what I'm now going to do is come in with my scenic glue and paint that on. And now I'm not going to do all of this on camera because I'm going to need to pick it up and be a little bit kind of fiddly. But one of the reasons why I'm doing it this way as well is because I am going to be able to clamp this now and prevent warping even from this little application of glue. Need to be a little bit more careful on that. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the scenic glue on, and then I have my granite dust, which is what I'm going to use for these paths. I'm just going to sprinkle that on and then shake it off, and then that will look really nice, I think. So I might need to put something down to gather the waste as well. But yeah, so that's just a very, very tiny example of what I'm going to do, and then we'll shake that off back into the pot, and you're left with a nice gravel path. And I will do that, zoom that in, I will do that all the way around the base of the of this church where I've drawn. I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. So the gravel around the school has been done. That's looking really nice. I'm really pleased with that effect. That's basically what I wanted. So I'm going to let that dry. And what I'm now going to do is the fire station, because that was a test and it's worked how I wanted it to. So I'm going to do the fire station. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some gap here which I won't put gravel over, and that will eventually be covered with static grass and soil and what have you for where it's going to blend into the rest of the layout. And I'm going to do the same thing basically around the edge. So the edge is going to have, apart from the front edge, the edge is going to have no gravel, something like that. And then I'm going to put gravel all the way over the rest of this. And I've clamped it, as you can see, because this is going to warp. So, and I've managed to just about get a wedge in, particularly with the idea about having to have a little bit of a blend area. That's kind of worked in my advantage. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing, paint some of the scenic glue on, chuck the granite dust on, and then when that's done, I'll let that to dry. And then that will be ready to go on the layout, which is the furthest back of all of the models, all of the buildings, and so yeah, I'll probably just get that stuck straight in. So yeah, pretty cool. Happy with how this is going, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get to the next stage. First of all, here is the wall I'm going to put around the church. So I'm going to paint it. I'm not going to leave it white, I don't think. Though I kind of, in one sense, I'm a bit tempted to, but I think I should. And what I've also got is this chain link here. This is chain link fence. It's very difficult to see. I'll do that in a different video where you can see a little bit clearer. And that's going to be run around all the way around along the edge of the track around the town end. So it'll be going from the end of the tunnel, which is just out of shot over there, and then all the way around to the bank behind the school, behind the pub and the fire station. But the purpose of this little clip is to show you how I'm going around cleaning up around the where I've put this masking tape on. Now, it's not perfect how I've done it, and I do still need to have the knife, but it has worked pretty well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just carefully peel off and attempt to dislodge, but it doesn't work very well because it's not a good stick, but attempt to dislodge and at least kind of like loosen a bit where the edge wants to be, where maybe I've gone over a bit with modelling compound. And where I can't, I can come in with the knife, as you can see here, and kind of shave it down a bit, and that then will mean that we get a straight line. And that's what I'm going to have to do for all of these sections that I've done, like this. And then when that's finished, I'll be able to plop the building in, hopefully blend it in a little bit, and then it'll look good. So I'm going to finish off this bit, which is where the church is, and then I've got the school and the fire engine at the other side to do as well. So that's going to take me a little while. So I'll get that done, and then move on to the next step. So I've just been happily planning how I'm going to put the fence in along this back edge here, because I have to do that before I do the fire station. And I've realised there's something I need to do before that even. I need to really finish this back corner. And that includes painting the ties and putting the ballast in. So at least from kind of here onwards, all the way around to the back, all the way around this curve. And yeah, I need to paint these ties and then put the ballast in. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to get my primer now, and I'm going to paint them, prime them, and then I'm going to paint them with dark brown, I think. Though I need to have a look at some pictures of the books to find out whether that is the colour the ties are. But yeah, that's a bit annoying. However, having said that, this isn't a bit annoying. These are fitting in absolutely perfectly and are going to look absolutely wicked. You can see that I've just basically put them in place. The church has its path and its little gravel kind of thing going around. And here are some of the gravestones I'm going to use in the other side. So they're going to go in the graveyard that's here. So yeah, I'm going to do some priming now and some painting, and then I will get to doing the fence, and then I will get to putting the fire station in. So yeah, dependencies, get things in the right order, and things will be much better if you do that. So more haste is less speed, and this is evidence. So you can see that I've painted the kind of weird thing green. I really like that. I've just used the green contrast militarum green or whatever on that, and then I came along to use some red wash on the stones, the Carroburg Crimson. I seem to be doing this all in Citadel colours, which is unusual. And because I primed this, and I'm embarrassed to say it, I primed this with a rattle can. I never ever prime with a rattle can. But I primed it with a rattle can because I felt I was in a rush and I wanted to get it done. But I've just had to come in and prime it with my normal primer because the wash just didn't take at all. So there we are. I really don't like priming with a rattle can, and now I've got another reason not to, because they're rubbish. So wait for that priming to go off, and then I'll come along and give that a nice red wash. I did think afterwards I could have used my red primer, which could have been quite nice, but I don't want it to be quite so dark. I don't think. But maybe I'll come in and prime it red. Not sure. Anyway, there we are. Bit of progress. I've done the priming. And that was a big pain because I decided that while I was doing it, I would just do it all. So all of this is now primed and ready to be painted into some kind of colour, and then I can do all of the ballasting and get it all done, because then I can clean the tracks. So yeah, so that would go off. Should be able to paint that today, and then I may even be able to start doing the ballasting today. But yeah, that was a big job, but I'm glad I got it done. It's out of the way now. I had started probably 3 months ago or something, many long times ago, and I'd actually done the bit from just past this, so just over here, and I'd done all of this area up past this end a long time ago. So yeah, getting it all done is really, really good. So let that dry, and then I'll come back and paint the ties, and I'll let you know what colour I'm going to use. I haven't decided yet. I need to have a look at that. But yeah, I have painted, undercoated, unpainted, all of these ties all the way around, all of the sleepers all the way around. And I did it in a dry brush because I had a look at the pictures, and as it happens, it's kind of grey and kind of brown in different parts, in different pictures in the story. So I thought that was the best way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to put down some of the ballast, and I'm going to do that with a spoon and a brush, and then once I've got that all situated, I will then come along and drop her on some glue to hold it in place. So I'll do most of this off shot, but I'm going to try and get as much done as I can of the whole of the layout, because I may as well get it all done rather than just the small bit that I need to for the next bit of fencing. So lay down, I've probably put way too much on there actually, that's going to go a long way now. So you lay down your ballast, and then taking a loose brush, you're coming along and you're just brushing it along like that, spread it out. So I'll get that done, get that spread, and then when I'm happy with the spread, I'll bring you back and show you how I'm going to do the glue. So yeah, hopefully this won't take a huge amount of time, but it certainly isn't a quick process. And I know a lot of model railroaders who absolutely hate doing this. So let's see how I feel by the end of it. So I've got quite a lot to do. Well, that was rather epic and actually enjoyable. I have ballasted all of it. Just using the spoon and then coming along with the soft bristle brush to make sure that there's nothing that's actually getting in the way of the rails. And by getting in the way of the rails, what I mean is you've got to think about where the train is going to go. You do not want anything that's going to cause the train or carriages to derail. But I think that looks brilliant. I am very pleased with that indeed. But I'm also exhausted. I'm going to stop soon and have some dinner. But first of all, I'm probably going to think about putting some glue on. And for that, I'm actually going to use, let me move over here, some matte scenic sealant, which is very watered down, so I think it'll work quite nicely for this. So I'm going to give that a go and I'll let you know how it goes. So now I'm gluing this down and I've got a really good technique. Well, it's not my technique, but it works. So do it if this is what you're going to do. So what I've got here is 100% alcohol or 99% alcohol. And I'm soaking down everywhere that I've put my ballast, as you can see, giving it a good soak. And then once I've done that, I have the matte scenic sealant, which I mentioned. And I just come along and you can literally just run it along really quickly like that and it will soak in and secure all of the ballast without moving it because the surface tension has been broken by the alcohol. So that technique really works. So I'm doing that around the whole of the layout. Anywhere which gets shifted, which what does happen, I mean I say it doesn't move the ballast, but it does a little bit. You can come along and touch up later when it's dry with a little drop of glue and a little drop of the ballast. But yeah, you can see how quick that is. It doesn't take very long at all. Then that will be me for the day, I think, on this. I'm going to have to let this dry now. Can't keep working on this wet, I don't think. So anyway, really good progress. Can't believe I've managed to get it ballasted today. Very cool. There we are. I will get this finished around the rest of the layout, and when I come to the next thing I'll be sure to turn the camera on. Well, there we are, done. The rocket ship is a little bit unwieldy and stupidly big, a bit pointless really, so I'm not sure whether I'll keep that or not. But the actual diorama is cool. I might put a smaller rocket ship there, I'm not sure. It's very difficult to display this. You can't really see it where I've had to put it. So I might change it. But let's have a look at the people. Obviously, this is what I enjoy making. So what we've got is at the top, we've got one of the locals, and underneath we've got another of the locals. Scattered around on the rocks is stones and idols. These are the idols that Quinn did. Absolutely brilliant, if that's going to focus. It doesn't seem to want to. I've got another up here, there we are, really, really cool. And then coming out from the rocket ship, we have the squad plus the robot at the back. So I'm pretty cool, pretty pleased with how this turned out. As I say, the rocket ship is a little bit oversized and a bit pointless, so that might not last for long. But overall, a really cool build. So here we are, you can see at the back, I picked it up because it was all over the floor. You can see at the back, the rocket ship is in bits, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to save it because even like the paint's flaked off. Because I just spray painted onto plastic, even though I did prime it, that hasn't really worked, and with striking the floor it shattered the paint, and yeah, it's not really looking good. Let me get a bit of a close-up on that, because yeah, the more I look at this, the more I think this is just like, you know, it's pushing up the daisies, isn't it, frankly? So what I'm going to do instead, everything else is fine. I never did stick the robot down, which is why that's kind of tilted a bit. Everything else is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to see whether I can build myself something just here, or maybe even put some other, I've got this glue on which I'm going to need to cover up, but that's fine. But maybe even just put some other elements onto this build. I would like to have a rocket ship. I would like to do that maybe. but I'm not sure. So I'm going to think about this. It's not going to happen immediately. I am actually wondering whether this actually is going to be fine just like that without anything, and that might be how I do it for the time being. So temporarily stick him down with some PVA because that peels off quite easily, or even just a blob of blue tack, put it on up for display and let it settle. But yeah, pretty tragic that that happened just right at the end, but I'm very glad that I managed to get the whole video filmed before it did happen. And yeah, these things occur. So what I'm doing now is proving to be a really frustrating, slow process, but I want it to be right, so it's tough. So I've got this material here which comes in a packet and calls itself chain link fence. But how you're supposed to secure it to the layout, I don't know, because it's a bit kind of annoying, and I don't have any uprights. So I was looking at using these pins, but that's not going to work. They're not going to go in easily enough, and they're not going to look very nice anyway. So what I'm doing is basically very, very carefully and very slowly and very steadily using super glue. I've got this Loctite, which is gel, but also has a squeeze, so it's really, really nice to use. I've actually just ordered some more. They sold it here briefly, and then it's never been back in stock again. So I've had to order it online, which is a shame, because I prefer to support the local shops. Of course, if they ever do bring it back, then I will. But yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm coming along and I'm literally just putting a little blob of glue in every so often, marking where I'm up to with my little tree trunk, and then leaving that to dry. And then when I get to the next, then like 20 minutes, half an hour later, coming out, a little bit of glue and moving on round. And so what I'm going to need to do is come all the way around here, probably to at least here, which is just by where the back of the church is, because once that's in, I can clean the track back there, and then I can stick the fire station in, which is obviously what I'm aiming for. So yeah, a very tedious process, but I think it's going to be worth it, because I think that looks really, really nice. I'm really pleased with how this is looking, even though it's a pain to fit. This is more the industrial side, so having this kind of industrial fencing is what I want, whereas elsewhere I probably could go back and use the wooden fencing. So there we are, that's that's what's going on now. They're very slow, but we'll get there. As you can see, the fence is in, and I've got it around to about here, which is where I ran out of length. So that's perfect, because I just really was worried about this section behind here. I can extend the fence along in front of where the platform's going to be quite easily. So the next step is to clean the tracks. Now you can see there that those tracks are pretty filthy, and I've got these cleaners which are great. I have the coarse and the fine, so I'm going to go over first of all with the coarse. I'm going to need to go around the entirety of the track. And what you do with this is you just rub it on the top, and you can see immediately, well certainly I can from here, see immediately that it's bringing the shine back to the tracks, and it's taking all the rubbish that has got put on top of the tracks, like for example glue and paint and all that stuff which I've been doing, and it's going to mean that the track is actually going to work. So I'm going to go around now, clean the track around the whole thing, and then I can start to stick these buildings in place, which is massively exciting. The tracks have been cleaned, and I'm happy with that. So what I'm now going to do is start to glue these buildings into place, and again I'm questioning whether I was wise to bother mounting them on cardboard, but it is what it is. It will have lifted them to about the right height, but I'm going to have to do grout and what have you over anyway. So you can see that the fire station is in, and I have weights here that are ready to be used to glue it down, and I'm going to use the copy decks to stick this down. Now I'm not going to film it because it's going to be a bit fiddly. I'm going to be leaning in, but ultimately what I'm going to be doing is weighting this down using these weights to make sure that it gets a good well stuck down, and then I'll probably do the school and everything else as well, because then I can start to finish. It's bad English. Then I can finish off the bedding them in around, and then then it's done. Wow, not done, but done to where I want it to be. So I'm going to get in there with the copy decks, with the weights, make sure that everything's weighted down nicely, and then leave it to dry overnight. And then tomorrow I can get on with the next steps, which is going to be putting in the the decoration, the details. So the gravestones and the flowers in the front and the gravestones here, and I've got things to go here and I've got things to go here. So it's going to be really exciting tomorrow for me to get this done. I'm quite bemused that I've managed to do it. But anyway, get that done. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all glued and it's all been weighted down. This will take me not very long, but I'll show you what it looks like. I'll come back very shortly in your time. I can hardly credit it. Look, it's glued down and it's weighted. Now, sharp-eyed amongst you will notice Lego bricks, and I maintain that Lego is one of the most important items in any hobbyist's toolkit. And what I've been able to do here is use these as legs to apply the pressure to the corners of where I want it to stick down. So I've got Lego underneath pretty much every single weight here, just making sure that that weight is applied correctly. So yeah, without this little thing, that wouldn't work very well. I'm not sure what else I would use. So I've got lots of Lego in there, but that's all stuck down now with copy decks. I'm going to leave that overnight. I'm not going to touch it now, and then I will look at it in the morning, see if anything needs to be touched up and glued down any better, in which case I can apply weight specifically there. But yeah, there it is. There it is, the town. The town is stuck in, and tomorrow we can start detailing. I'm sure you can hear just how excited I am by this. This is pretty incredible to see. Yeah, that's amazing. Here we are. The starting shot for the 10 by 10 challenge is including a fork. This was the mystery item. So yeah, that's what that is. And the theme, which is, do you think it's toxic? I'm going to make a playable terrain. I'm trying to get ready for Moonstone. Basically, I'm doing lots of terrain which could be used for Moonstone and other fantasy, but mainly Moonstone. And I just printed out this the other day, and I've just finished curing it. And it strikes me that this is actually going to be perfect for a scatter terrain with an ironic theme of do you think it's toxic? Because this is a elven brewery, that's what they call, or distillery brewery. It's got a couple of kind of like bubbling cauldrons, some jars, and this awesome little kind of contraption, which is the brewery, and some little steps which sit on here. So what I think I'm going to do is do a small 10 by 10 base for it, scenic base for it, and that's it. It's going to be quite a simple build. I am still massively overwhelmed with work and other things. I don't want to overwhelm myself with this, but I do want to enter and I do want to do something cool that I'll actually use. So this will both be a display piece. I'll make it as really nice as I can, but it is going to be my first ever entry which is playable, and this being my 12th entry, that's pretty cool. I'm happy to have finally got around to doing a playable entry. So there we are. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to be cutting this out to 10 centimeters wide, and then I will clamp it down to my base as I do to prevent warping, put some tape on at the 10 centimeter mark, so that I can know how wide to go, and then I'll start to do the build, and I'll do the paint, and I'll paint this and what have you. I'm going to paint these separately and then put it into place once it's painted. So the first thing actually to do is going to be to prime and paint this up. So once I'm prepared and I'm starting to paint, I'll bring you along, I'll tell you how I do it. So it's going to be mostly a painting video, this, and then we'll have a look at how the terrain is going to get built up around the sides of it. So fingers crossed this will look nice, and it will certainly be useful. I think it'll be a useful build. So yeah, let's see. It's the next morning, and I'm about to find out whether these have actually stuck down properly. So I'm going to lift these off and have a look. So let's get that done. Well then, that looks like that's all stuck down. So I was very nervous then lifting those heavy weights up and over those buildings, but fortunately that was okay. So yeah, there we are. The town end is really coming together now. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to start to blend these in. So I'm going to apply some scenery here. I've said over and over again, I've got gravestones to do here and here. But I've also got to blend this in and put the fence around it. Blend this in. I'm not going to put a fence around this. It's just going to have a playground over here. So this is just going to be blended in, maybe with some of the granite dust, the same thing as I used for doing the. I might use a different material, but something similar to how I did the ballasting, which is this as well. And yeah, so I just got to blend all of these in to finish it off, and then that's really going to be right where I wanted to get to before Rosie got back, which is pretty amazing. However, I do have something else to add, so let me just move all these weights away and I'll come back, because one of my viewers gave me a fantastic idea about what to do in that corner, and I want to give a big shout out and talk through what I'm going to do. So I'll just tidy up and then yeah, let's talk about that. So I've been umming and ahhing about this corner on video for a little while, wondering what to do over here. And Regworth in the vlog last week left a comment, and it's just perfect. It's absolutely nailed it. And I mean, it's just one of those things where you'd think, well, it's so good, why didn't I think of it? But that is the nature of good ideas, is once they've been said, they're obvious. But until they're said, well, they're not. So what I'm going to do, and I am going to do this, and thank you so much for making the suggestion, and please do shout suggestions out. I do love reading them, and I do listen, as you can tell, is a little boating lake. So potentially butted up against there so that it will virtually go off the board. But have a little lake with some boats on it, was his idea, and that is just such a beautiful idea. It's something, I've got the pond, but I haven't really done any water effects on this, and it adds a little bit of variety and it adds a little bit of interest to the layout, and I just think it's a cracking idea. And and then what I might be able to do is put a fisherman on and what have you. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I'm very, very pleased with that suggestion. So thank you, Reg, and I'm going to do that. So that will even mean that I will start on that very soon, because now I've got an idea and I know roughly where my station is going to go up to, which is about here. I've got the space that I can work out how to do this. So yeah, very, very cool, very happy, and thanks, Reg. So what I'm going to do now is mix up some grout mix and start to bed in these terrain pieces. I have also realised that inside of the tunnel I need to do the grout mix on that, because that's still white. It doesn't look great. And then it's going to be a bit more static grass around the other side of the tracks where the detailer is going to work, and also that bit over there by the trackside hut, which I haven't done. Now I want to do a path over there going from the door of the hut along and just out where the dead centre of the screen is now. So there's a few bits of detailing to do which I can get on with, but the most important thing is to get these white squares bedded in, and I'll do that with some grout and then with some static grass. So yeah, I'll bring you along for the next step when I get to it, which will probably be after the grout's been applied, just so you can see what it looks like. But yeah, we really are getting close now. Finished doing the ballasting around this, and so I've reached a point now where I'm going to put this away. I have got some more stuff on order to finish it before Christmas, but it'll take a little while for that to arrive, so I'll do that when I get to it, when it arrives. But for now, very, very pleased with how that looks. The winter effects have really come on. Rosie is going to love it. It's a real improvement over last year, and that's all you can ask for, really, isn't it? Just a little bit better all the time. So yeah, really, really happy. The application of the ballast went much, much more easily once I was using the correct technique, and thanks to N-Scale Modeler for pointing this out as well on the comments. That's much appreciated. So the way I use it is I drop in the ballast with the spoon, as you saw, but then 99% alcohol with a mister, spray it over. That breaks up the surface tension, and then I was able with the dropper to come along with my watered down PVA, and it just worked perfectly. So and it's really quick, and a lot of people say they don't like doing this technique, they don't like the ballasting, but I actually found it quite zen, quite relaxing. And the big benefit of me having done that on this layout is that this track wasn't very tight. I'd pressed the pins in with my thumb just to hold it in place, so I'd never really kind of like secured it down properly. So now that's rock solid, because obviously that's been embedded in the ballast and in the in the glue. So yeah, a really good success, really good win. It's going to be really fun at Christmas to see Rosie's face. I now need to hide it so she can't see it. Yeah, this will be back out in a video before Christmas to do the final little additions that I'm waiting for delivery, as I say, and then we'll be then it'll be put away again until Christmas. But yeah, a successful blast while they were away. I debated briefly about using a different base material for this actually, or base material. I thought about maybe using the card here, but I've decided to stick with this blue foam, mainly because it will then fit in with the rest of the builds I've done, but also because I think actually it's what I want. So you can see a rough layout that I'm coming up with. I've done the lines. I need to put my mask that off. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have the distillery, or whatever it is, I'm setting up some steps, and it's going to be like a ruins, or going to be some kind of walls. I'm not sure if it's going to be ruins or not. I'm going to do the flagstone bay floor with air dry clay on the bottom, have this sitting in there somehow, and have a maybe a sign or something like that, which would maybe indicate potential hazard. The other idea I've had about indicating potential hazard is a tree with red berries on it, which could be toxic berries, and that could be what they're making here. So this is going to be scattered terrain. It's going to be playable. What I'm probably going to do is cut some steps in here, so or little one shallow step in here, and then I can put flagstone on that shallow step, and then flagstone the whole of the rest of the area. I think I like the idea about the tree best, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I might do so have this to one side, have these kind of like flagons and what have you scattered around. They'll be standing up, and then have a tree here which has red berries and potentially looks a bit poisonous, or not poisonous, toxic, two different things. So yeah, progress. 2 weeks to do this. Going to try to do my thing of maybe 10-15 minutes a day and get it done. I've nearly done all of that now. Just going to mask off with some masking tape right now, and then I'll probably leave it until later, come back to it when I've got a little bit more time. But yeah, bit of progress. So nowhere I looked, nowhere could I find the little resin gravestones that I knew I had. I found these metal ones from Sergeant's Mess, who I cannot recommend at all. Never buy anything from him. His service was terrible, and the quality of what he sends is rubbish. As you can see, look at those things, they're terrible. Let me zoom in. I'm not putting those on the Model Railway. They really are rubbish, bare earth and badly cast, and yeah, so don't use his. So they're not going to go in. So what I've decided to do for now is put that in and potentially just grass it and leave it as it is, because I'm going to put the good gravestones that I have over on the field just over here. So all of the grouting there is done now. There's a little bit more to do up over on the school, so I want to put, when that focuses on, there we are. So that's still bare cardboard there just by the gate. I'm going to do that as a path with some gravel, and there's just a little gap in front of the fire station as well. But what I'm going to be doing now is looking at the fences around various things. So first of all, the church, which is what you can see, I've got some white fencing to go around it. This actually is going to be wrought iron fencing, and I'm going to need to go and prime it and paint it and what have you, but I've worked out roughly how it's going to look. What you see here is how it's going to be around this corner, and then on the other side, as it happens, luckily one of the pillars finishes just next to where the door, the path is, so I will clip off just here basically on, if that is focusing, let me just check. I might just move the camera down so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, so I'll need to clip off just past the pillar, because I can get one pillar in, and then the gate will be here, and then I can clip off here and get another length in the other side of the gate, and then I can return on the angle. So that's what I'm about to do now. The other thing that I've found is that these is the little inserts that go in the in between the uprights, and they don't fit very well. So I'm going to need to spend a little bit of time clipping them down, trim them down, and glue them in place. Which is what I'm going to do now, and then prime and paint it. It won't take me very long to do that, so I should be able to get those glued in today. So yeah, that's that. The fire engine, the fire station, which is the other place that is going to have a fence around it. I haven't decided yet which ones to use, so I'm not going to say. I've got a couple of options. I might just go for the chain link again, but I'm not sure. That looks quite nice coming along around the track, but I'm not sure that's going to be what I want to do. Once all this is done, then I will continue the chain link along here, just in front of the next to where the track is, and then I'll be able to put the steps over when I get the station done. So yeah, a couple of bits and pieces to do, but making progress. I think the two things I'm going to do next, this is going to be off camera, so doing the preparing these is going to be off camera. I'll show you what they look like when they're ready. But the next two camera thing will probably be preparing the graves, which is going to be in that bare spot just here, and this is going to be the gravestones. So yeah, put those in, put some trees in, and just decorate that area. So I'll bring you along when I get to that. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do the field across the lane as the burial area. I'm going to do this area behind the church. I just think it looks nicer, and it's going to mean I can do something else there, and I think I know what I'm going to do, but I'll come to that. So what I've got here, these are the nice rare tombstones from Woodland Scenics. They're actually really cool. I recommend them very highly, and I might pick up another pack. They look great, and the idea I've got is, as you can see, I've got a tree leaned up here. I'm going to plant the tree with the cross below it, so that looks like someone's planted that tree as part of burying their loved one. And then I'm just going to place, I'm not sure exactly whether this is going to be where they go or whatever, but I'm just going to place the gravestones in a row, one either side, with a path down the middle, and that's the idea. Now the only issue with this is realism. I might have to put a gate in here into the fence, which I've already assembled and already primed, what have you, but I'll come to that. I can clip that out, I'm sure. But yeah, so I might have to put a gate in here, because there's no way they're going to be able to get down the side of the church. But being able to get in here would be realistic. I am now wishing as well that I had actually made this, so let me just zoom out a little bit. If I'd have made that area here smoother, then I probably would have continued with the graveyard here, but I did it as waste ground initially, so I did it deliberately rough, and now I wish that it was smooth, and it's not, so it's not really going to work. That's one of the main reasons why I've decided against using it as the graveyard. But if I'd had this smooth, then I could have had the car park coming all the way up to here for the station, and it would probably have worked a little bit better. But this is one of those things. You live and learn. And this is. I'm so pleased with it. It's not putting me off. But I'm just learning as I go, and that's one of the things. If this had been smoother, I could have done a better car park here and what have you. So anyway, but that's going to happen. So the order is going to be glue down these, and put a hole in where the tree is, then come in with the static grass, and then glue the tree in. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to do the static grass around the pub, and around the fire station, and around the school. And what's going to go here, I think, I'm going to have a little park, or a little kind of like some bushes, and this tree with the seat, which I might put kind of towards the corner there, and I think that's going to go there, and maybe some like play area stuff. It's a kids layout, so having lots of play things makes sense to me. So anyway, another wordy, verby, chattery update, but yeah, progress. So progress continues. The graveyard is now static grassed, and the tree is in with a glue stick holding it upright. I'll put another tree just here, and I might put some more around here. Very cool. This is something that Angela got me. It was this little telephone box, and you can see it's from Bachmann. That's the packaging. So that's there, just next to the pub in the corner of the village square. And you can see that the rest of the it's gone out of focus. Yeah, the rest of the static grass has also been done, which I'd left, and including this area here. So pretty happy with that progress, I can tell you that much. I have realised that I have once again forgot to static grass that section back there, but I'll do that in a bit. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm getting very, very tired, and it's I'm really pushing on this, so it might be the last thing I do, is I'm going to do the playground for the school, which is going to go in that back corner there. And what I also should say is downstairs I've picked out the same type of wall as I've put around the church to put around the fire station, and both church and fire station walls have been primed and are in the process of being painted downstairs. Now look at that from here. Never mind the packaging and the big plate and the glue gun. That is looking wicked. So yeah, so I'm going to get the playground done, which is just going to go somewhere over in that corner over there, and then probably call that a night, because I'm getting really tired, and also I need to play with the puppies, who are let me break character just for a second and show you wherever they are. I can hear them crying. There's Louise in room 13. They're a bit bored because I'm just spending so much time on this model railway, but yeah, I can hear Thelma somewhere. She's got her Kong and she's crying. Anyway, back to the model railway, and then puppy playtime. So the fences are in. Well, I say in. They're just sat there for now, not glued down, but I think they look really nice. I decided to go with the same colour as I did for the detailing on the church, so that is off-white, old white, aged white, whatever, from Vallejo, and then gunmetal for the actual fence, because I like that better than iron. And then over on the fire station I went for burnt red, but I just wanted it to be red, to be roughly the same colour as a fire engine. And again, I did the same colour on the actual on the fence, on the metalwork. So yeah, very pleased with how that's looking. I'm not going to glue that in just yet. I can glue that in right at the end of today. I'm still debating whether I'm going to make sure that I've got access here on the to the here, whether I do a cut there, I'm not sure. I probably should. It'll probably annoy me if I don't, but also I really like how it looks without it, so I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about that at the moment. The other thing is that I did actually put my tree with the chair around it in. I did that last night as well, because I had a little bit of spare glue and I don't like waste, and I knew where I wanted it to go, so that is now nicely stuck in, and I'm very happy with it. So I've got a little bit of hoovering to do over the top of the static grass that I put in yesterday. That's got quite a lot coming off, which I don't really want, and then I'm gonna have to finish off dressing it up, because that's pretty much all I've got left. So I've got some people to put, zoom back out again. I've got some people to put on here, which is a big surprise. I'm looking forward to showing you. I've got a farmer's market to put here, and I've got, I want to put some bushes and what have you here. I want to make this a little bit more of a kind of nice area. Oh, another thing is I have started to resolve my forgetfulness over here. So I've put the path in by the little trackside hut. So that's in there. So when that's dried, I can put the static grass over there. So yeah, we're getting close. It's been a real busy push to do this, but I'm feeling so happy to see how well it's looking. So since yesterday, I've stuck the separate parts of the actual distillery together, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go and prime that. So that's going to be done today. Done now actually, going to quickly go and prime that, and then what I'm going to do now here is work out roughly what I'm going to do in terms of steps, whether I'm going to cut a step in here. My thinking is that if I have it quite flat with the tree there, then that's going to probably work best, and I might just shave the front corner off, just so that it's a little bit of a slope up, to make it a bit more of a of a playable piece. So the thinking I've got is slope up here, step up here, tree here, and a low wall along that side. So that's how I'm thinking about it at the moment. So I'm going to do those elements, just do the cutting and the shaving. I'll show what it looks like, and then I'm going to go do the priming, which obviously will just be painted in grey. So what I'm going to do for the TCU challenge, and actually also for a friendly challenge in Neil's Discord server for Real Terrain Hobbies on Patreon, is I'm going to paint up these awesome miniatures, which are pumpkin horrors and the pumpkin golem, and that's the painting of these is going to be for Neil's Discord, and I'm going to build a nice display piece for them for the TCU challenge. The reason is that the theme is the same for both, so seasonal or fall, and obviously fall, autumn, pumpkins, and a little bit of a horror from Halloween is perfectly acceptable, and then seasonal, well, it's a season, isn't it? So that matches in for both. So I'll do these all as one build. I'm not going to split them off. It's only just for a bit of fun, and this is obviously going to be mainly, as you'll see when this is grouped together, this is going to be mainly underneath the TCU challenge, because that's the one that's I'm more invested in. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is open these up. These are Reaper Legends. They're absolutely fantastic. I really love working with these models. So I'm going to open these up, clean them up, and wash them and prime them, and I will bring you along for when I come to the painting, because that's going to be a large part of this. So I'm not sure whether I'll actually run the camera through the painting, but at the very least I'll be showing you what colours I'm using. So yeah, Rot Patch the pumpkin golem and 3 pumpkin horrors are going to be coming your way. Okay, so I've worked out my plan, which is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out and apply the flagstone, the air dry clay, all over this base. I'm just going to do that now, so I'll glue it down with PVA and roller it and that. And what I'll then do is I will draw a circle here, and I'll cut that away, and that is where the tree is going to be growing. So I will put flags in the steps which I've cut. As you can see, I decided to go for a step on either side. I will do a tree here, and I'll do the whole of the base with a flagstones. And what I'll then do is potentially build up where the distillery is, which is primed now downstairs, and maybe put some more air dry clay on over the top of that. But I'm just going to do the whole of the base, because I can always glue things on and layer it up. So I have my large rolling pin, plain rolling pin here, which I can then use that to roll out, and then I have my flagstone rolling pin to put the texture in. So once I've done that and glued it in place, I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. I've got the air dry clay stuck down, as you can see, as well, and now I'm going to cut out this circle, and I've had the bright idea of using the end from the large smooth rolling pin to do so. So that's going to be a really nice regular circle cut out. Isn't that beautiful? And what I might now do actually is keep that, because that's a pretty cool little circular thing that I might use somewhere else. So I might just let that go off as well. So stick that onto something and let that go off at the same time. So yeah, pretty cool. I'll let that dry now. I'll bring you back for the next step shortly. I'm also in the background going to be painting the stuff to go here, the distillery. So I'll bring you along and show you what I'm doing on that. Probably going to do a bit of that later. Right, let's have a little bit of a sum up of where I've got to, because I've done bits and pieces through today, and quite a lot has happened, as you can see. So over here we've got the farmers market. They've turned up in their little van, and one of the guys is unloading, and they're selling already to someone, so that's pretty cool. A couple of vehicles in front of the school, and we've got a TR6 parked in front of the pub, which is a beautiful red racing car, like a sports car. So I've also done some trees on that back bank and then along the top of the ridge here, which is really nice. And I've also put a fruit tree in behind the school, which I think would be nice for the kids. Coming down and across, I've just this second put these from Goodwood Scenics, these flowering bushes. They're lovely, so that's just to kind of like edge the rough ground here from the road and guide you in towards the station. And I've also put some trees here on the entrance to the town and just placed, none of the vehicles are glued down, there won't be, but there's an ice cream van on its way into town, which is always a good day, isn't it? So I have just had some pretty bad news, to be honest, due to COVID and restrictions and changes and stuff. Angela and Rosie are not coming back today. They're stuck in Ireland and for another few days, which is a real shame. And I'm absolutely and utterly gutted, as I'm sure you can understand. And yeah, I've kind of sat and stared at the wall for a bit, but I've shaken myself, and what I've decided to do is get a little bit more done on this. So I had resigned myself to not being able to get the boating lake done. However, I think now by Saturday when they'll be back, I might be able to. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll bring you along for that. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. Hopefully it's going to work. I'm going to make a start on that now, and hopefully I'll get that done before they arrive. And that will leave merely the task of doing the station, which is something which I'm considering and thinking about, but I haven't had time to talk to Quinn about properly. So when we have time, we will get that done. So yeah, let's get started on this lake. I'll show you how I'm going to make it, and then I'm going to make it. Once again, I'm back with the kitchen towel, and this is the first idea. I hope it's going to work. I think it will. This is a ceiling tile, which it's not the bubbly stuff that I've used before. It's just got little waves and ripples and what have you on it, that I think when painted up will look really nice as a bit of a boating lake, I hope. If it doesn't, I have to rip it off, but we'll give it a go. So what I've done is I've gone over there and I've marked out what I think roughly the shape of the lake should be. I'm going to cut this lip off, which is going to get in the way if I don't. So what I'm going to do is just come along with the pencil and mark roughly where I want to have the edge of the lake, and then I'll cut that out, and then I'll go and stick it down over there on the layout just with PVA and weight it, and that'll be a good place for me to start. So that's what the lake's going to be like. It's going to be quite big, but I think I want that because I've got a boat that I can put on it and stuff, and I might even do an island or what have you. So yeah, I'll cut that out now just using a normal knife. This stuff you don't need to worry about hot wire cutter, and I'll go and glue it down, and then bring you along for the next step, which will be painting it. This is dried nice and quickly actually. So I've mixed up some modelling compound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to put the modelling compound down. Now I was doing rough area over this side, that was my plan, but I'm even now considering putting a road over here, potentially to access the station, but also just as a kind of like, this is how you get to the lake. But at the very least I'm going to make this as smooth as possible, so that if I do decide to do a road I can, but if I don't, it could be nice parkland. But the main purpose of this is going to be to build up a berm around the lake. It's going to be look like a man-made type lake, or a dam or something like that. So it's going to be a flat up to the edge, and then I'll do a little berm over the edge, which is where it will, that's what I'm keeping the water in, obviously. So this will take a little bit of modelling compound, a little bit of time. I won't film it all. You've seen me do this over and over again. It's a iterative process of putting the compound down, and then smoothing it and smoothing it and smoothing it, and pushing it around until you get it to looking like you want. So yeah, so I'll get all this done. I'm probably going to come around to just here, just near where the pot is right now. I'm not going to go past that, and then I'll let that go off, and I'll also let it go off in my mind and come back probably tomorrow to consider what to do next. But yeah, determined to take advantage of this time and actually get benefit out of this horrible situation. And the benefit is something else for Rosie to look at and marvel at when she gets home. And that is something that I can see as a really big motivator. So, yeah, I'll get this done and I'll be back when I have something new to show you. I had another delivery of some really awesome things that you can see here. So I thought I'd quickly show you what they are. Going from left to right, I have a stack of D&D stuff. Now, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before until I got playing with Miller from Miller's Marvellous Miniverse. If you do not watch his videos, not that he's put anything out recently, I don't think, he's been very busy, but top lad, and also Ideville Knife Works, which was one of my recommendation Mondays. Go and check those channels out, top lad. But he runs a campaign that I'm in, and I've been enjoying it so much and watching more and more videos about it that I decided to pick up the starter set and the essentials kit, Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide. And the main reason for that is I believe that it's possible to run a campaign using the tools here where you have a single role player and a bunch of NPCs, and that's the sort of thing that myself and Angela may be able to do at some point. So, and anyway, it's going to be good fun to read, and there's a lot of cool things in there, so I picked that up. In the middle, we have something I never thought I'd ever get. We have a Zegok. So this is a Bandai. Now, the reason I've bought this is Zero from Zero's Hobbies, who was this month's recommendation Monday, so you can go and find his channel very easily, has put a challenge up on the Tabletop Dungeoneers Discord to make a Bandai. And so I ordered this and it arrived today. So I have a couple of weeks to make this, which is going to be a pretty tight schedule, so I'm going to have to get cracking on it. But yeah, it's a really cool kit. It's the only one I've ever seen. I watch all his videos, and it's the only one I've really seen him show off that I actually like the model. So this is why I picked this one, because it's a pretty cool looking bit of kit, and I'm quite excited. So I'll be starting to build that this week. Finally, we have something that probably the thing that I'm probably the most excited about. This is a solo role-playing game I backed on Kickstarter that I've had for a while, and I've actually started playing, and there's been bits and pieces of content about it already. But the physical kit arrived. So the custom cards, a thank you card, a journal, which I won't use because I type it up, but it's still beautiful, and the book. And this is the moment I've been waiting for. I have not yet done this. Let's give this book a sniff. You know what, that is a pretty good smell. And the artwork is beautiful. Now, if you don't know about Colossal, it's a solo role-playing game where you basically draw cards and they give you hints for a story and you tell the story. So it's as close to the rules or as far from the rules as you choose in one sense. It's a hint engine, and I've been having a lot of fun with it when I've had time. So yeah, I'll try to remember to put a link in the description below to my journal, online journal, so you can read it if you want to. And I do need to get back to that because yeah, it's been weeks since I've written anything, and it was really good fun to get into it. So it's good to get that, and it's good to have the cards. And I just printed them out before, so now I've got the physical ones. So anyway, there we are. Nice little delivery. Cheer me up a little bit after the horrible news that got to wait another couple of days for Angela and Rosie to come back. But yeah, get stuck into this Zegok. That's the first priority. This is all now dried, so we're going to start to paint the lake. And counterintuitively, what I do with lakes is I actually paint them black. Start with a black base and then build up from there. I found that to be the best way to do it. This does remind me that at some point I am going to actually have to paint the rim of this as well to make it nice. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this all black, and then when that's dried I'll come along and do the colours. So this is dried, or gone off, whatever you want to call it, and so is this, which is cool, so I can go in my bit box and I'll make use of that, I'm sure, for something. You can see here's the actual distillery that's been primed but not painted yet. I've just been fiddling around a little bit, and I'm not sure that I am going to lift it up. I think I'm going to leave it down on the same level. I just think it's going to make more sense, and it will be slightly less. It's just going to be easier to do, and I think it makes more sense. So the next steps I've got are to put some walls up so that I can start to paint this. I'm going to put a wall here, and a wall down the side, and a wall at the back. So the step that you'll come up the steps to get in. So I'll have some blocking in the game but I just need to make sure there's space for miniatures here, so I might tuck that a bit further back and have the wall along here and along there, and maybe not at the back there, I'm not sure, but that's the next thing to do, and obviously I need to paint that. But the other thing is I've got these Warriors of Erewhon, very dusty box, skeleton warriors, which I bought just because Luke from Luke's APS said they were terrible, so I bought them, and they're really useful for skeletal bits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the skeletal bits out of here. So we've got a torso here and legs and what have you, and skulls and all that stuff, and arms. And I'm going to put at least one skeleton that's going to be tucked in here. And that's going to be, rather than a sign, that's going to be the hint of, is it toxic? So there's going to be at least one skeleton there. So I'll get that done as well, get that painted up and glued in place. When it's when the rest of it's done. So yeah, so I'm going to start working on these walls. Not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet. Might do air dry clay. Seems to be a theme for this month on the challenge. People have been talking about it a lot, so I might do it with air dry clay. I think that might work quite nicely. So do some walls here, some walls here, decide whether I'm going to do a wall at the back, and then also I need to start working on the tree, don't I? So yeah, it's good though. 20 minutes a day, I reckon I'll get this done. So a little bit more thinking, and I've realised that using air dry clay for the walls is probably a bad idea, mainly because air dry clay is quite brittle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 5mm XPS. It is shiny, so I will need to use my wire brush on it to scrape it up so that then I can apply paint. But fundamentally that will make it a lot a lot easier to work with, and while it will still be a little bit brittle, a little bit fragile, it won't be brittle, so I can knock it and repair it rather than it shattering. So I will cut out the outline of the wall that I want here and maybe here, make that into a piece and then glue it on once it's done, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I've measured up, as you can see, started to measure up on this piece where the end of the wall is. I will draw a rough kind of scraggly edge and then hand scribe in the bricks. Yeah, pretty old school, but it should look nice. So here we are. Let's get started on this. This is the Zegok. I'm pronouncing that as an American because that's the only way I've heard it. Apparently it's some kind of special custom Zegok, which is pretty cool because I just did random Amazon lucky dip job and picked the first one I found. And I'm going to need to build this if I'm going to get it in for the challenge in the next 2 weeks, which is pretty hard going with how much else I've got going on. I'm not going to do a full unboxing because Zero already did that, and if I remember I will pop a link to that video above this clip right now. If I forget, then go to his channel, and it's linked at the end of this video, pretty sure it will be, because I did him for my most recent recommendation Mondays, and you'll find it. So yeah, so you can see what we get inside is some single-use plastic. Don't like it. So we get a pack of sprues, a second pack of sprues. Why they're in single-use plastic, I have no idea what purpose that serves. And we also have a full colour, which is unusual because most of my kits would come with just black and white, wouldn't bother with full colour, with a load of Japanese, I presume, on it. And then inside the instructions of how you go about actually making this bit of kit. So like I said, I'm not going to go into major detail of what each of the sprues are, what have you. What I'm going to do is run the camera a bit while I'm making it and probably just select out the interesting bits, because yeah, it's a gluing it together job. So let's see how this goes. I've not opened it up, as you can see, still in the plastic. So what I'm going to do is sit down for a few minutes, work out all the pieces, work out what I've got, and then I'll bring you back and show you how I'm going to attack this task. So I've taken everything out of its single-use plastic. We've got the A1 and A2 sprue, we've got the B sprue here, and we've got like a soft plastic sprue here as well. And reading through the instructions, which you can see in front, they're pretty clear, and I think they're going to be okay. The biggest concern I've got is not understanding fully the Japanese. I'm going to have to work with the iconography and guess what the iconography means. I'm presuming that means don't glue. So I think everything is glued apart from where it says not to. That's what I'm presuming. I'm just looking for an example of that, because as I understood it, this was semi-posable, so I'm going to come to that. So what I'm going to do, rather than filming the whole thing, because I think it's going to be a bit tedious to watch that, is I'm going to make the sub-assemblies, and as I go through the sub-assemblies, I'll come back and I'll show you any issues or anything that I learned while I'm doing it. And certainly the first part is going to work quite nicely, because the first thing is 1 foot, and that's this panel here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 is basically the same thing but for the second foot, so I can potentially learn what I'm doing on the first one, and if there's any gotchas then I can show you while I'm making the second one. And I'll try to do something like that for this video, because looking at it I think there's quite a lot of repeated stuff. So yeah, quite excited actually. It's totally out of my comfort zone. I've done this a couple of times now. This is the second recent thing out of my comfort zone, but it's all learning, and it is only a kit in one sense. It's just what it's going to produce is pretty unusual for me. So yeah, so I'm going to get stuck into this first 4 steps on the instruction making a foot, and I'll bring you back when I've done that and let you know what I've learned. That there is very much the result of putting the first 4 panels, and that was actually okay. It wasn't too bad. I don't think that I'm going to need to have my glue, certainly not initially anyway. It's push fit, and it's a pretty strong push fit, but more than that, it is quite manoeuvrable. So you've got joints and what have you, and so you don't want to be putting glue near them for the fact that you might accidentally glue the joint and then it might not stand up. So yeah, so not really many gotchas to highlight on those on that first 4 panels, which means that hopefully the next 4 are going to be fine, and hopefully all of it's going to be fine. So yeah, pretty pleased. I was just sent to 0. It's really not my normal thing, but it's really cool to do different things and do new things. I don't think it's a bad thing to stretch yourself and try something else out. So yeah, I'm quite pleased I'm giving this a go, and really appreciate the fact that the little challenge was put up. It's a motivation to try something else, and I think this will look really cool on my shelf. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to work now. I've not got any more time, but I'll crack on with this and bring you back the next time I've got something interesting to say, which might not be until I've finished. You never know, it might be really easy. So now I get to play around with colours and mix up some water. So water isn't blue, but it largely does have that refraction sometimes, especially when you've got blue sky, and so you do, that's way too much green. You do want to have, that's a huge waste, you do want to have a lot of blue when you're painting up a lake like this, and particularly if you think about it, this is not a real lake, this is a lake that is set in a Toy Story, a children's book, so a little bit cartoonish is fine. Now I should not have put that much of that light green out, so I'm going to be very much more careful with the dark green. So basically how I do this is very random, but I use those colours that you see there, so 2 blues and 2 greens, and then I will mix them all together and do a wet blending technique on the little lake bit, and hopefully it's going to look nice. So that's the plan. So what I'll do is I will point the camera a little bit further around. There is the lake, and then get stuck in. So I'll pop some music on, and you can enjoy the fun. You can see that. Let me just move that a bit there. That's better. You can see my palette, my plate. So yeah, I'll pop some music on, and you can enjoy the fun. That's a good first pass. I might come back to it in a bit, but that's good enough for now. Well, in absolutely record time, I've done it. I've just sat down after work and just smashed through this in about 15-20 minutes. And what I've got here is all of the component parts, and that leads me to step 20 on the instructions, which is where I put it all together. Let me just point that down a little bit better. There we are. So step 20 is where we assemble it all together. So yeah, just very, very simple to put together, very easy, pretty good instructions to be honest. I think it is possible to make a mistake, but yeah, I seem to have managed not to, which is always good.
you probably want to pay a bit more attention as to which side is which when you're putting things to one side. For example, I'm pretty sure that I've got that correct on the legs, but I should really have had them like this is number 4, this is number 8 sort of thing, but I'm pretty sure that's right. The lighting is not very good, is it? I'm just going to talk now while I put this together, because frankly I think that's quite telling, just how easy, you can just see how easy this is to slot together. There goes the torso together like that, and this is what the whole construction has been like. It's been just very, very simple. So if you're considering getting one of these and you're a bit nervous about not being able to, then seriously, I mean, look at how easy that is. And the other good thing is I'm putting this together now, obviously unpainted. Now, oops, I just got that last one in. The last one is going to be the hard one, is it? Okay. Having said it's really easy, there's one that's not been easy. There we are, done. Yeah, so obviously that's unpainted, but I can easily paint that, and I can easily clip things off to paint them in parts. So, but I don't know whether I'm going to or not. I will decide that. For now, I'm pretty pleased with how that looks. It was a nice, easy build, and there we are. That's my entry for the challenge for 0. So done in a day. Not often I start and finish a project in a day. I've just given it quite a heavy dry brush with the same light blue as I used before. That's worked really, really well. What I'm now going to do is come along with this, which is boat varnish, Yachten lac, as it says, Yachten lac, boat varnish, yacht varnish, and I'm going to apply at least 1 coat over the whole of this, just to give it a little bit of a shine, and then I will start to look at dressing up and doing the rest of the finishing off. It's a really quick process to do a lake. If you don't want to pour resin, absolutely fine, you don't have to. You can fake depth with colour, and you can get a shine with something like a yacht varnish. So yeah, obviously, as you can tell, I'm reaching in past the camera here. This isn't very convenient, so I'm going to finish this up off camera. As I say, at least 1 coat, maybe 2. Don't put this on too thick, otherwise you do risk it yellowing if you go on too thick. But a little bit of yellowy is fine in the water as well, because it's a kind of a greeny colour, isn't it? So yeah, anyway, there we are. I've nearly done it while I've been nattering. I'll let that go off, and we have our boating lake. I've had a lot of fun painting this so far. It's not quite finished, but it's getting there. So I did the wood, as I've said, in the contrast wildwood, and I did the green with the contrast military green. And then I did the tower mainly with Caribou Crimson, so the red wash. And then I left it. And then I've come back in, and I have dry brushed over the green with copper. I'm pretty sure it's copper. And then I've just dry brushed over the wood with dark sand from Vallejo. And I've done a very heavy wash of Agrax Earthshade on the tower. The next thing is going to be to pick out some highlights on the tower. I think I'm going to do something like bloody red or something, just to really get some of the edges to pop. And then that painting will be done. And I'm really pleased with it. It's a very simple paint job, but it looks really good. It's really effective. It's got that kind of otherworldly look with the green and the coppery gold. So yeah, once I've done that next step, which will be tomorrow probably, the highlight on the stones, then I will come down, I could take this back upstairs and work on the base and work on the fire that's coming out of the top. So yeah, good progress, but a little bit more to do, and then we'll get on to the terrain work. All right, time to paint the first base colour on this, and what I'm going to go with is the Africa. Now this is a kind of beigey, purpley, odd colour, which I really like. I don't normally use it as a base colour, but I think on this case I'm going to. So I'm just going to paint this over everything. All of the foam, everything that's exposed, and the edges and everything, and all the walls. And I might take a couple of coats, and then what I'll be able to do is I'll work up from this into the weird iridescence that I have as a vision. The painting of the actual distillery hit a snag. I was going to paint it today, and I got down there and realised that the priming I'd done was not up to scratch, and there was a fair bit that I'd missed because I primed it when I was very tired, and that's always a bad idea. So I've fixed the mistakes, and that's going off, so I'll be able to paint that tomorrow now, or at least start. So there we are, that's going to be all I can do today on this, but at least it's progressing a little bit a day, every day a little bit more. That's how you get things done. You don't have to do things in big bangs, you don't have to rush, just a little bit at a time, and things get done. So, yeah, I might do a couple of coats. I'll see what it looks like when I look at it tomorrow. But either way, there we are, a little bit more done. So the next thing I want to do is put some of these bits of shrapnel and glue them in at the base of the walls as fallen down or crumbled masonry bits of the wall. So I'll glue them in place, and then I'll come along with the same paint and I'll paint over them, and then I can start to do the detailing, which I'm quite excited about. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll bring you back when I come to the next step. This is dry now, and I'm happy with that. It's got a nice sheen to it, but it's not too shiny, which is what you want. So what I've done is I've mixed up some grout, and I'm going to paint the grout on over this. Now, I've been thinking about how I'm going to have this to work. As I said, I was wondering whether I might have a road coming in around here. And I think the decision I've made is to change up a few things. So I'll talk through this while I'm painting. So what I'm considering is actually putting a crossing over here, or maybe here, for the road. So the road can come in here and have a car park here. So I'm probably going to need to cut this slightly so I can make it smoother for a car park, but it might be all right, might be enough. So the station can be here, sorry, just out of shot. Let me just move it a little bit so I can talk this through. The station will be where that pot is. The road will come in here. There'll be car parking on this side of the tracks, and then a bridge coming over. And then I can have a gate here, an entrance here into the fishing lake area with the Redgefirth fishing sign over it, which I am working on my computer. And I think that'll work really nicely. I think it solves some of the problems I've got with regard to parking. This can be an overflow, and it also solves access to this fishing lake. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do, which will be done when I do the when I get to do the station. So that's my thinking. So I'll get this painted on in the dirt colour, and when this is dry, then I'll come along and I can start to dress up this area with things like static grass and flowers and trees and all sorts of other good stuff. And I'll be sure to bring you along when I get to that. So yeah, cool. Right, so I'm pretty pleased with how this has turned out and how I've painted it. What I did was I came in with some dark sand and dry brushed the woodwork, which you can see has really brought out that highlights. I've already said about the green and the bronze. What I then did, I did copper as a heavy dry brush over the red stone, and I think that's enough. I might go back to it, but I think it looks okay for now. So the next step that I'm going to do on this is, you can see I've got it sitting on a tray and on top of some paper. I'm actually going to put sand on the base using black terrain paint and then dry brush up from there. I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to paint the base with black and then drizzle sand on it in the technique that you'll see on hundreds of my videos. And then when that's dry, then I'll come along and I'll dry brush it up to the right colour, and then I can start to add the flock. So that's the next step on this. I'll bring you along when I've done this, when I'm ready to start the dry brushing, so when I've got just the black texture on the base. So this is now dried fully, and I've spent the last little while thinking about the next step, and I've settled on what I'm going to do. I've got these Lattenzaun mit Torren wooden fence with gates, and they're just plastic. They're going to need to be painted and what have you, which I'm going to do now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an enclosure around here and then down here with a gate over here, which is where you'll be able to, or maybe a bit further across, but that's where you're going to be able to get in from the car park, which will be here, into the enclosure, into where the fishing place is. So what I might need to do is, well, I'm going to put a sign over here with the welcome to Reg Firth's fishing lake on it, and I might put a little shed here. I don't have one at the moment, so I'll have to look that out. But the first thing I'm going to do is prime and paint these so they look nice, but also I'm going to just put some static grass right the way back in the back corner there. So if I zoom in, you'll see that's where the rough ground ends over here. So that's where I'm going to put a little bit more static grass here, and then this fence will start to come in here. So I'm going to at the very least put some static grass here and quite rough and ready, and then what I'll do is I will work out exactly where my fence line is going to go. I'll probably put the static grass down before I fit the fence. However, I want to make have a little bit more of a think about where I might put paths and what have you before I do the static grass. So two things to do. One, prime and paint these. I'll just use grey primer and a bit of brown paint, won't be too bad. And two, just a tiny amount of static grassing over at the back here. So that's what I'm going to do now. And yeah, carry on with this. I've got some other things to show you as well actually for this. Let me just move the camera back to the lake. So Angela bought me these for Christmas. These actually are for wargaming. So they're basically boats that you can, little inflatables to go across the Rhine or whatever. But I'm going to sacrifice a couple to the cause. Actually, I sacrificed one by dropping it down the back, and there's not a chance I can get it out. So I've lost one. So I'm going to sacrifice a couple to the cause, and I'm going to paint those up as well, and just have those kind of like pulled up on the side, as if they're ready for hire or as if they're ready for people to use. And I also am going to start to look for some figures to have some people fishing on the edge of the lake, and also maybe even a fishing boat, a little rowboat on the water as well, which would be really quite cool. So yeah, got a few bits and pieces, a bit of painting to do, a little bit of static grassing to do, but yeah, we're gonna crack on with this a little bit now. Can't actually remember the last time I worked on this. I could probably look into it, but it's been a long time. And so, as you can see, hopefully, don't know if that's getting picked up, but there is a lot of dust on top of the water that I've poured already. So I'm currently working out the best way to resolve this, whether it's with a brush, whether it's with a hoover, or whether it's with this cloth. But what I need to do before I can do anything else is come along and polish the water surface so I'm not going to get any dust when I pour the next lot. So there we are. It's going to be a bit boring, but I do think that potentially using this little cloth, this is something you use for cleaning screens on laptops or what have you, I think it's going to be the right thing to do. It's been so long, I'm actually a little worried about when I come to take the dam off, whether it's going to destroy the whole build. But that is going to be an experiment or a discovery for another time. So anyway, yeah, I'm just going to stand here now, do a little bit of polishing, do a bit of cleaning, and get it ready to pour the next load. Well, I think nearing an hour and a half is certainly long enough for a vlog, getting back to the old classics. It's been a really busy week. It's been a week where I've been really pushing to get the model railway done. And I was aiming to get it done because they were due back today, which is Saturday as I'm filming this. However, for various reasons, they're now not coming back until next week. So I've got another week of push on the model railway. So let's see how far I can get with that. The other projects will just carry on. I've got another week for the encounter terrain. I need to put some more time into that. And various other things. I have attempted to order some more resin for the lake, and the supplier is sold out of both the size of packs that I would buy. So I've sent them an email and hopefully they'll get back to me, but that may mean I'll put that back on the back burner until I have enough resin in to do the whole thing in one go, because yeah, I'd much rather that than leave it again for months like I have done this time. So anyway, lots got done. If you made it this far, as I said in the intro, thank you, amazing. And please do let me know in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching. And as always, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.